4 months before joining the World Academy, Asher was coming out of an A-rank dungeon with Emmy, who followed him around every dungeon. "Young master, I have brought that guy," Emmy pointed at Tom, sitting in the lounge waiting for Asher. "Wait here, we will move to the next dungeon immediately after I am done," Asher said as he entered the lounge. "Ah, boss, I heard you called me," Tom asked, but he was still not comfortable around Asher. "I need you to find some dirt on Darren Marks. He is one of the executives for the Abyss Corporation," Asher said to Tom, who started finding the basic information about Darren. A hologram depicting Darren's image with his family appeared before Asher. So this was the guy who leaked the information to the villains. Asher knew there were a few moles in the Abyss Corporation, but Darren was the biggest one who profited off the loss of the Greville family. He was personally given a spot in the new company in a joint collaboration introduced 2 years later by Leonard Tervian. It was a company that Leonard made together with Rhys Williams, who was Eva's older brother and the heir of the Williams family. "Strange," Tom muttered, which made Asher raise his eyebrows. "Did you find something?" Asher asked as Tom presented some other faces. "Darren Marks did some shady stuff, but I still can't find something that can be used against him. However, he was in contact with these guys all the time when he moved out of Somalia," Tom replied. It was easy for him to find information related to Darren as Asher had allowed Tom to use the Abyss Corporation's information network that contained information on all the executives and below for himself. Asher looked around to find familiar faces. He was ruling out people he didn't remember killing. There was a time when he had killed many of the top executives that worked for Leonard and Rhys himself. "Find out more about them," Asher pointed at 2 people. "Them. Found it. This man is Gemard Ratliff, and he is Robert Willis," Tom pointed them out as he looked into further details. "Keep digging about them. I need details of their every move," Asher said. After 3 months, Tom finally found the information he needed, and Asher could eventually move. In his office at the Abyss Corporation building. "So this is his son," Asher said while looking at the information Tom had found. "Yeah, and he was involved in kidnapping people, mostly girls," it was apparent what Tom was trying to say. "He is a D-rank hunter and currently is 20 years old," Tom said while Asher looked at the other information regarding Gemard and Robert. "That Darren guy had invested a lot of money cleaning his son's mess, but there is still some proof we can expose them," Tom explained, but Asher looked at him indifferently. "Why do you think I will expose them?" Asher asked. "He is a bad guy, and Tom was speaking, but he realized that Asher had got him to work similarly. If Asher wanted, Darren would have been removed from his position due to the amount of authority Sylvie had in Abyss Corporation. No one who knew about Abyss Corporation underestimated her. 2 weeks before joining the World Academy. In a mansion. "What? Where am I?" the 20-year-old young man shouted as he saw he was cuffed to a chair. But his eyes went wide as he saw Asher entering the room. "You are Asher Greville, right?" The young man spoke, but Asher looked at him with an indifferent look. "Did one of my victims have a connection to him?" The 20-year-old kept thinking of reasons why Asher would kidnap him. "Wait, I'll give you money. My father works as an executive in Abyss Corporation. You might even know about him," he was speaking when Asher dashed forward and plunged his sword into his heart. "Host has gained 5,000 express. Host has leveled up. So, I get experience for killing humans as well," Asher smirked. Asher left the room and saw Emmy, who was waiting outside. "Send the video you recorded earlier to Tom. He knows what to do with it," he said as Emmy disappeared to clean up the dead body. "What? Why do you have my son?" Darren shouted as he never imagined that his only son would get kidnapped. "I'll give you money," he spoke but realized that the man in front of him wouldn't need money from him at all. "Just arrange a meeting for me and a simple task," Asher said with a calm look on his face. And you'll get your son back, simple, right? Asher said as his eyes stared at Darren. Even through the screen, Darren got nervous, staring into his eyes. I'll do it. Just tell me. Don't hurt my son. Darren had no choice. The man who threatened him had the power to kill his son and not get punished. In a similar way, he had saved his son countless times. The authorities wouldn't even dare point at Asher Greville unless it was a huge crime. Asher smirked as the video turned off, and he stood up from his table inside the World Academy. He had lied about Darren's son still being alive and well. Darren had no way of knowing about it as well. Now, bring those guys inside Soren, Asher muttered to himself as he looked at his next targets. Gemard and Robert were people who worked for the Alistair and Rothschild families and were deeply associated with some of their illegal activities. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Asher was traveling to the black market in Maxil, a city between Soren and Worms in Somalia. They took the teleporting gate to cut the distance, and both Asher and Tom arrived in Maxil with Asher's entire security team behind them. Most of them were B-rank hunters, and a few were earlier rank hunters. Gareth, we're going to the black market. Make all the arrangements, Asher said, looking at one of his bodyguards. As you wish, young master, Gareth replied as a car arrived for Asher. Keep looking for those two, Asher said as Tom got in as well. The black-colored car moved through various buildings as Asher thought about his next move. Let's see what James Rothschild will do now, Asher said in his mind. Robert was not a normal person who was a simple businessman. He was involved in the business of the Rothschild family, and his going missing out of nowhere would surely confuse James' contemporary romance. But the biggest target was Gemard, who was working directly for the Alistair family and was involved with the Tervians as well. Although Asher could have used both of them to his advantage, this was not his plan. Most of the elite families had many special artifacts and items with immense value. Just like the Greville family had their secret vault that only the family head knew about. But apart from the Greville family, most of the other elite families allied with each other, so even if Asher targeted their businesses, it wouldn't matter much. And the amount of impact Gemard and Robert could have had was not so high. Let's see if they take the bait, Asher thought in his mind. Asterisk 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 asterisk. In a broken down building on the outskirts of Maxil, two men were covered in blood, sitting close to each other. I told you we shouldn't have killed him, a man shouted at his partner. Now we have the whole spider hunting for us. He was annoyed because they were having difficulty escaping. What choice did I have anyway? His partner replied as he drank a potion to heal himself. That guy would have killed us anyway, and you know the real reason I joined Spider. His eyes were filled with anger. Dane, do you think we can defeat an SS rank hunter and kill him? We should just give up, the man said with a frustrated look on his face. I will break through S rank soon, we just need to escape and stay low, Dane replied. But what should we do about them? Dane smiled innocently as he looked around at multiple dead bodies around him. I will burn them, can't have the World Association on our tails, the man said with a shrug. Hehe, that's my partner, Dane said as he wiped the blood on his face. Did they have any money? Dane asked as he touched the body of one of the men. Not even a single spatial ring, and the artifacts are marked as well. We can't even sell them, his partner kicked the ground in annoyance. It's fine. I will stay with you even if you are poor. I'm not so mean as to leave you in these tough times, Dane replied as he acted like an innocent person. But his act didn't hide the fact that half of his face and his clothes were covered with blood. Crazy bastard, before the spider kills us both, I might kill you myself, his partner held the urge to beat the hell out of him. Asterisk 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 asterisk. At the famous black market of Maxwell, Milson, there will be guests coming for a deal with mana crystals, a man spoke to the man before him. Make sure that you get the best price. There was a sudden demand for mana crystals, he explained as Milson nodded at him. But who requested it, though? Milson asked, but the man's glare made him close his mouth. You don't need to know that, and don't try to guess the identity of the guests either, the man spoke as his aura started leaking, making Milson tremble a bit. The man turned and disappeared from his spot. Why is he so harsh on me? Milson picked up a white mask and put it on his face. He was one of the managers that worked at the black market, and they had got information that somebody wanted to trade a huge amount of mana crystals. Asher's car arrived in front of a huge building, and many people could be seen coming in and out of it. Boss, here's your mask, Tom said as he brought out a black mask. It was a tradition in the black market that deals would happen with total anonymity. Most stolen artifacts and illegal trading would occur in the black market, but only a few knew how to enter it. The black market was led by an independent group of high-ranking hunters not part of the elite families. As it was a simple place for trading goods, even the World Association ignored them. Most clients who used the black market were from prominent families. Asher took the mask and wore it. It was a special mask that modulated the voice and changed eye colors. This was one of the man-made artifacts, just like the nano armor. Wearing the mask and formal clothing, Asher looked like a typical 20-year-old due to his height. Garrett and Tom wore similar masks, but their clothing differed from Asher's, depicting the hierarchy between them. Asher entered the building, and they ignored everyone and stepped into one of the lifts. I will enter the code. Garrett stepped forward and started pressing the floor numbers in a specific order. 5, 1, 5, 4, 3, 8, Garrett muttered as he carefully pressed each number. Soon, the lift closed and started moving downwards. The lift opened as they stepped in front of the big room, which had multiple portals leading to various sections of the black market. Which portal would you like to take? A man wearing a white mask stepped up and asked them with a respectful voice. Everyone who could enter the black market was influential, so they treated everyone with respect without judging them due to their ranks. VIP section, Black Chamber, Asher said, and the man was slightly surprised. Every elite family member who used the black market usually had a place where they would do all the dealings, and for the three elite families from Somalia, the area was called the Black Chamber. But some special people like the Seymour family, who got access to use the Black Chamber from the Greville family, could also go in there. There were a total of 5 such chambers representing the 5 continents of this world. As you wish, the man became even more respectful, thinking they were connected to one of the 3 elite families of Somalia. Asher's eyes followed the movement of the man wearing the white mask. The man walked up, removed his gloves, and touched a part of the white wall, and suddenly a runic engraving was revealed, which opened a path. You may enter from here, the man respectfully pointed at the path that appeared in the wall. Let's go, Asher said as Garrett and Tom followed him. They arrived at a particular place blocked by a metallic door, and Asher brought out a black card with golden engravings used to access the portal leading to the Black Chamber. What a place! Tom looked around, assessing everything around him. Ads by Pub Future. Apart from Abyss Corporation, he had never seen such complex security. His brain was already working on bypassing the protection of the black market. Asher noticed it and smirked. This was one of the reasons he appointed Tom so early. No matter how earnest and honest Tom wanted to become, his true self differed. This was proof because Tom was one of the people in his previous life who never questioned Asher's actions and only acted as he was ordered. Less than identity confirmed a VIP access granted greater than. In front of them were portals that led to the Black Chamber, and all of them led to different sections of the Black Chamber. They wanted to go to the meeting area where the deal was supposed to happen. As they stepped in, the scenery changed, and a lavish room with multiple sofas and machinery could be seen. A man wearing a black suit and white mask at the center table could be seen. So they are the dealers. Milson, wearing a white mask, saw three men walking towards him. I welcome our esteemed guests, Milson respectfully said as Asher sat, and Gareth and Tom stood behind him. Contemporary romance. Should I check their rank? Milson tried to increase his mana sense. I would advise against it, Asher said with a strange voice as a thick killing intent overtook Milson, who stopped immediately. I apologize. I didn't mean to do that, Milson immediately apologized, realizing that the one sitting before him was a high ranker. Such killing intent was only found in experienced hunters, so he gave up on finding their identities. But Gareth was shocked when he felt Asher's killing intent. He didn't know that Asher could exude this much bloodlust at such a young age. It seems that the black market has forgotten their values. Asher's voice made Milson nervous. I don't think we can make a deal in such a scenario, Asher said as he unfolded his legs and tried to stand up. No, I apologize for my mistake. I can promise you that such a thing will not happen again, Milson said nervously, finding himself in the wrong spot right from the start. I can't let this deal go. Milson remembered his earlier conversation with the higher up of the black market and how important this deal was to them. Asher kept tapping his fingers on his legs, making Milson even more nervous. Who is this guy? He had never remembered meeting anyone resembling the man sitting before him wearing a black mask. I heard you wanted to sell mana crystals. Milson regained his composure, but he had already put himself in a disadvantageous situation. Correct, and for the right amount, Asher said, looking straight into Milson's eyes. Right now, his eyes were not red but black, and his voice was also altered to sound like a 25-year-old man. I can offer 5 billion for 2 tons of mana crystals, Milson said as he put his right hand above his left and folded his legs. 20 billion for 1 ton, and it's a one-time trade, Asher offered. 20 billion is not possible. There are a lot of procedures we need to maintain to transfer mana crystals, Milson explained. I have given my offer. After that, it's up to you, Asher replied. I can't lose this deal. Milson was strictly instructed to ensure this deal happened at all costs, but the price was too much. If Asher had asked for 10 billion, Milson would have offered him at least 8 billion or a 10 billion if they were establishing a constant supply of mana crystals. But 20 billion was too much for him. This was not an amount he could give Asher for a one-time trade. He tapped the bracelet on his wrist as he looked toward Asher. I can give you 6 billion or for 1 ton, but 20 billion is impossible, Milson said as he waited for a reply from his superior. Then it appears we've reached an impasse. I have named my price, Asher replied calmly. Asher did not need to sell the mana crystals through the black market, as money wasn't his primary objective. Instead, his true goal was to uncover the identity of the individual orchestrating this order. A sudden notification caught Milson's attention as his superior instructed him to push the limit to 15 billion or, which was their upper limit. I can go 10 billion or for the amount you have quoted, Milson replied to Asher, still trying to bargain. If he had not made the initial mistake, he could have called prices more freely, but his small error made him approach Asher very cautiously. I have given you the offer, Asher said. No. He will reject it. Tom was losing his mind. He had never heard of such large numbers being used for trades, and seeing that Asher was not decreasing the price made him anxious. But what Tom didn't know was that in such trades, desperation and urgency were the factors that made people lose money. And Asher was neither desperate nor in any hurry to sell the mana crystals. For the money, he could just sell the extra crystals being mined to Abyss Corporation and could have quickly made around 15 billion ore, which was the market price. The Artisans Association bought most of the mana crystals in the world. However, there were rare moments when an independent buyer would ask for a considerable amount of mana crystals. If you raise the quantity to 1.5 tons, we can do 15 billion ore, Milson gave his final price, and Asher smirked under his mask. 15 billion ore, 1 ton, and the infamous shadow card, Asher replied, but Milson stood up. Shadow card, Milson started thinking for a second. It was a special card that allowed anonymous transactions with a group without coming to the black market, and most of their holders were illegal organizations that worked like mercenaries. Let me ask my superior, each manager had one shadow card, which they could allot to somebody, and luckily Milson was one of the rare managers who had never given his shadow card. After 2 minutes of waiting, Milson stood up and brought out a blank white card with no engravings, which looked like a regular white card. But before giving it to Asher, he took the black ring he was wearing and made an impression on the blank card. In a second, the white card turned black, and the silver text saying, M.S. was engraved on it. It was a special technique to apply unique mana imprints. We have a deal. Milson stood up to shake hands, and Asher did the same. I will send the mana crystals to the Black Chamber, Asher said as Tom stepped up to give Milson the account information. We will send the money when we receive the mana crystals, Milson replied as he looked at Asher. But they are the first batch, right? Milson confirmed. Pure mana crystals, 97% density rate, Tom replied as he brought out the sample mana crystal. Seeing the mana crystal with his eyes, Milson nodded, and Tom took the mana crystal back into his spatial ring. Pure mana crystals were the first batch of mana crystals that came out of the mana mine and cost billions. Among them, those with a density rate higher than 90% were sold at 15 billion ore a ton. There were only 5 tons of these pure crystals that Asher had managed to find in the dungeon. Regular mana crystals in the market were those with 40 to 60% density to hold mana in them. Such mana crystals were sold for millions as they were still pretty useful but couldn't be compared to pure mana crystals. If you want, we have some items that might catch your eye, Milson offered. Perhaps later, Asher said as he turned to leave the room. Gareth and Tom followed Asher as Milson watched the 3 men wearing black masks leave. Asher's answer made Milson guess the identity of the people sitting in front of him who offered such an amount of pure mana crystals, which were pretty rare. Most of such crystals were either in possession of the Artisans Association or some of the big corporations involved in this business. Probably not someone from the elite families, he muttered. Usually, young people from these families didn't hesitate to spend big in the black market, and as a manager there for some time, Milson knew about it as well. That's why the black market held auctions to reel in people who would spend big. He ruled out people like Asher, who had become famous for spending much money in such places. The news about the mana crystal mine was still not out, so Milson had no way of knowing where these pure mana crystals had come from. Only if they didn't pressure me, Milson was annoyed. He was considered one of the best managers in the black market and its various branches spread all over the continent. But he was not able to get the best price because he was told to secure this trade. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Coming out of the building, Asher sat in his car with his mask still on. Gareth, did you arrange the 2 S-rank hunters I asked for? Asher asked. Yes, young master, Gareth replied. They will arrive soon at the hotel we are staying in for now, he said while looking at his phone. Tom, did you find a clue about their locations? Asher asked. Not for now, but there were reports that some World Association officers went missing, Tom replied. Soon, Asher's car arrived at one of the most luxurious hotels in Maxwell City, and he stepped out of the vehicle. His mask was still on, so nobody recognized him, but they were still gathering the attention of many people. Ads by Pub Future. Wow, looks like a rich guy. A guy standing with his friends looked in Asher's direction. Asher's security team followed him as they left the black market, so it was evident they would garner so much attention from the people around them. Gareth walked forward and went to the manager standing in the lobby. Contemporary romance. Is our flow ready? Gareth asked. Yes, and we have made sure that your stay will be comfortable, the manager said with a smile on his face. Many employees were surprised to see the manager talk so politely to someone. Even that jerk is polite. Who are these people? Any idea? The receptionist asked the male employee beside her. No. But we are told to stay away from the top floor unless we are called, he replied, making the woman even more curious. I will show you the way, the manager said as he walked towards the lift. Asher and his security team followed the manager as he took them to a lift that was big enough to get all of them in. Nobody was talking in the lift, so the manager was fidgeting with his fingers a lot. Even he didn't know the identity of these people. He had gotten a call from the hotel owner to make sure that Asher's group was given the best treatment. Some of our men will be downstairs, so I hope there will be no issues, Gareth said. Oh, there will be no issues, the manager replied. The lift arrived at the lavish floor, and Asher stepped out. The manager was about to step in as well when Gareth stopped him. We will find our way, you can go back now, his aura leaked, making the manager nervous as he stepped back immediately. Why yes, if you need anything, just call me, the manager replied, but he got a bit anxious as he looked over Gareth's shoulder. Asher ignored whatever was happening behind him, his team was thoroughly trained to make sure nothing happened to him. They were some of the best hunters and were specially trained by the Greville family. Asher's security would have been higher, but because he was in the World Academy, his S-rank security was given to Lucas and Livia. The security team following him was hunters that were under Emmy and were now working for Asher. I will meditate for an hour. Make sure nobody disturbs me, Asher said as he entered his room while the security team stood outside. Tom was also tired, so he decided to sleep as well. He went into a room and saw the lavish-looking room, which made him a bit uncomfortable, but he was too tired to care about it. I will keep the alerts on, Tom tapped on his laptop as he put it on the table. Let's get a good sleep, Tom slumped on his bed. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Dane, I am telling you we should just leave the city, a man said, sitting in an empty alley. We need money, dude, Dane replied with a confused look on his face. You idiot, the World Association would catch us for sure, the man tried to convince him. Come on, during my last task in Maxwell, I heard that there was a stash of money on the top floor, Dane said as he pointed at a particular hotel. It was quite a tall building, so it was really easy to spot it. And it's an illegal stash as well, so less security, Dane said with a smile. You are saying as if there will be no security, his partner frowned. I will kill them. You help me remove our traces, and then boom, easy money, Dane said with a smile on his face. Come on, you know we are best in these kinds of jobs. Even in Spider, we were best in such missions, Dane tried to convince him. How much money are we talking about? His partner asked. Millions. We will be set for years, Dane said with a smile on his face. Sigh. Let's do it, he replied, and Dane's smile got wider. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Half an hour earlier, in the Abyss Guild building. What? But we were supposed to go to the dungeons today. A man wearing armor said with a frustrated look on his face. The request came from the Greyhounds. Don't ask stupid questions, his team leader replied. Greyhounds was the term used for the special hunters that were trained by the Greville family, like Gareth and Emmy. Both you and he will go to Maxwell. I have sent the instructions to you already, he continued. I don't want any complaints and don't make trouble with those guys. Unlike us, those guys are connected to the Greville family, who are hired through contracts, he explained, but the two men were already annoyed. Today they were going to try to clear a dungeon they had prepared for a long time, and it got called off due to the sudden request. Sure, let's go, Cory, the man replied as he turned, but the look on his face didn't change. He was an S-rank hunter who was only 28 years old. He was also quite famous in the Abyss Guild. And this dungeon clearly would have made his name soar considerably. I am not their dog, he spoke to himself. I expect you and Cory to create no problems and come back as soon as possible, the team leader said as he saw the two men leave the room. Both of them were young and talented. They had reached S rank before hitting their 30s, which was considered quite good. However, such talents were rare, and so they were treated fairly well in the Abyss Guild. Man, this is such a bummer, Cory said as he sat in the car with the other guy. We would have gotten promoted in the guild after 2 days' run as well, he said as they approached the portal. Both of them didn't know that they were being called because of Asher, and if they had known, they wouldn't have acted in such a manner. Despite being an S rank, they were nothing in front of the elite families. Even SS rank hunters in the Abyss Guild respected Arthur, who was the wise guild master, not just because of Nathan. Despite being an S+ rank hunter, Arthur could hold his own against an SS rank hunter. Also, there were not many SS rank hunters in the world. And most of them chose to align themselves with one of the strongest families or associations. Honestly, those greyhounds are nothing compared to us, the man said, making Cory nod at him. At least we don't live with a leash on our necks. He could only say such things because he was with his trusted friend. At the teleportation gate in Soren, the guards stationed there saw two men approaching them. Sir, we need your identification, the guard asked, as traveling through the teleportation gate was strictly recorded. Take it, Cory pulled out his guild card. Seeing the card, the guard's eyes widened as he realized the two men standing before him were from the Abyss Guild, one of the most powerful guilds in the world. You may go, the guard politely smiled as he let the two men pass. Let's go, Zack, Cory said to his partner. Both of them were suppressing their mana so that people around them would not feel intimidated. It was not common for S-rank hunters to stroll in the city like this. Most of them were busy either clearing dungeons or practicing and improving themselves. In a matter of seconds, both Zack and Cory arrived in Maxwell City, where two men in black suits were waiting for them. Mr. Zack and Mr. Cory, right? One of the men asked. He was only a B rank hunter, but he felt threatened by the S rank hunters in front of him. Yeah, tell us what's the matter. We're not as free as you might have assumed we were, Zack replied annoyedly. The two men ignored his tone, as teaching him how to behave was not their job. You have to go to this hotel and meet Sir Gareth there. He will tell you about your mission, they replied. Yeah, we'll go, Zack said as he noticed some women eyeing him. He was a tall man with a decently attractive face, as was Cory. A smile appeared on Zack's face, but Cory just shook his head. Zack, we need to go to the hotel first, he reminded Zack. Oh, come on, we'll reach there in a minute if we use mana anyway, Zack replied as he walked over to talk to the group of 3 women. Sorry for him, we'll go there soon. Corey just smiled at the 2 men who were looking at them with straight faces. If they could, they would have just told them that Asher, the Greville heir, called for them, and they would not have wasted so much time. But the trip was a secret even from Emmy, their team leader, so they didn't know if they should tell them. Asher didn't take Emmy with him because he needed someone strong and capable enough to stay with Alyssa while she was outside the World Academy. Alyssa was safe in the World Academy because not many people could harm her directly, but things were different outside the academy. At the same time, at the hotel Asher was staying, Gareth was in the common lobby area waiting for the 2 S-rank hunters he had called from the guild. Where the hell are these bastards? Gareth was getting annoyed because they should have arrived by now. Even Miss Emmy is not here. Gareth was unsure about Asher's safety because he was among the few A-rank hunters present there. Contemporary romance. Although they were very competent in their work, he was glad that Asher had called for S-rank hunters. But they were taking too much time. Gareth messaged the 2 men who were waiting outside the teleportation gate, and when he saw the reply, he was fuming with anger. Just wait. I will surely report this matter. Gareth was annoyed but could not leave the hotel. However, he made a mental note to report them to the leader of the Greyhounds, who was an SS rank hunter and was highly respected in the Abyss Guild. Apart from the Greville family, he had the highest authority and was famous as the right-hand man for Nathaniel Greville. Gareth was busy, so he didn't notice 2 men who looked like middle-aged men with glasses walking past him, who were looking at him. Kai, these guys are trained professionals, Dane said with a strange voice. Shush, don't use my name here, Kai replied while looking forward and acting like an average middle-aged man. Let's go there, Dane said as they went to the washroom that was present on the ground floor. Arriving there, Kai used a soundproofing artifact that he had. What the hell is happening here? Kai's face changed to his original one, and the same thing happened to Dane. Maybe some big shot is present in the hotel, Dane replied. Damn it, why is our luck so bad these days? Kai said as he walked back and forth in the washroom. Come on, we can still pull this off. We just need to reach the highest floor, and with your bloodline, it will be quite easy, Dane persuaded Kai. Kai, who was an A-rank hunter, had a unique bloodline ability that only Dane knew about. Despite their working together in Spider, the organization they had previously been a part of. Nobody was aware of Kai's extraordinary bloodline ability, which allowed him to help people blend seamlessly into their surroundings, making them effectively invisible. In addition, he could also morph his own appearance and that of others. It was a unique illusion-type bloodline ability, but it had its own restrictions that didn't allow him to freely use it. For example, Kai could not change the appearance of people who were of higher rank than him, and the fact that he could remove his presence didn't help with devices that detected mana. We'll take the appearance of the staff and ride the lift while we remove our presence, and if somehow we get caught, we can tell them we are just staff. And if push comes to shove, we can just kill them and run. Dane explained the plan with confidence. Okay, what was the room again? Kai asked as they needed to just steal the money. It was room 05, on the highest floor, Dane replied. Kai nodded as he channeled his mana and touched Dane's head. Both of their appearances changed into one of the staff members they had noticed while coming into the hotel. The process was slow because Kai needed to focus a lot on changing Dane as well. This was another shortcoming of his bloodline ability. Asterisk 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 asterisk. At the World Association building in Worms. Sir, we have lost contact with the team that was pursuing some criminals, a man said, looking at another man who was coming in while rolling his sleeves. What rank were they? The man asked as he squinted his eyes. They were B rank hunters, the suspects are assumed to be A rank hunters, the man replied with a respectful tone. Maxwell, was it? I will go there myself. You have their mana traces, right? He asked. Yes, sir. We have gotten these mana traces from an anonymous source, but they are real. He brought out a device. But it will only work one more time before the suspects notice the chips in their bodies, he explained. No need to worry about it. I have permission to use weapons, right? He asked with a smile on his face. In case of battle, we have permission to use mana, the man replied. So, should I give this mission to your team? He asked the man standing in front of him. Of course, we will handle it easily, the man said as he turned and took out his phone. Maxwell was a peaceful city that didn't have that many dungeons around it, so it was rare for so many high-ranking hunters to gather in the city. In room 01, on the highest floor, Asher was meditating with his eyes closed. He was practicing his mana flow skill, which he could feel was slowly improving. He opened his eyes, stood up, and walked to the balcony area. From there, he could see almost half the city. He looked around to his sides, and after a while, he turned and walked out of his room. The security team was alerted by this. Young master, do you need anything? A guy asked. Where is Tom? Asher asked. Sir, Tom is sleeping in room 05. Should I go wake him up? He asked. No need, Asher said as he turned. But before entering his room, he stopped and looked back. Did the S-rank hunters arrive yet? Asher's indifferent face made the guy quite nervous. And not yet, but Sir Gareth is waiting for them in the lobby, he answered, unsure how Asher would react. Tell Gareth to make sure they come quickly. Send them directly to this room, Asher replied as he entered room 01. Asterisk 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 asterisk. After a while spent flirting with others, Zack came back and saw Corey, who was frowning. What? Zack smiled. Let's not delay anymore. We need to complete this fast, Corey said. Zack just shrugged him off. He was a prideful person, and for him, his own time was more important than others. He thought that they were called because they needed them for some task that required two S-rank hunters. Come on, you know who I am. We are not some normal people, Corey. We are S-rank hunters for the guild, not like them, Zack said as he pointed at the two men who were still present there. But seeing that the two men didn't react much to his words, Zack got a bit annoyed. For him, it was like they were looking down on him. Zack, Corey said with a serious tone because Zack was behaving quite rudely now. Okay, let's go now, Zack replied, but he still didn't care if they got a bit late. At the teleportation gate present in Vance. Hey, look over there, a man pointed at people wearing black suits with a logo on their shoulders as they walked past them. Wow, they are from the World Association, another man replied as he recognized the famous logo. Everyone knew about this logo, which belonged to the World Association, considered the most influential association in the world. The fact that the World Association had 3 SSS rank hunters leading it was enough proof. They look like high-ranking hunters, so cool. A kid shouted among the adults. Father, I wanna join the World Association when I grow up, he looked at the man beside him. The father just ruffled his hair, not breaking the little kid's dream so early in his life. Getting into the World Association was not easy at all. Only those who attended the World Academy and a few others were lucky enough to join it. Listening to the people praise the team of hunters, they smiled proudly. This was the general reaction they got whenever they ventured through cities. Don't grin too hard, Henry, a woman said to her team member. Come on, it's my first time in Somaria, Clara, he replied, ignoring her. And our leader is not saying anything, so let me have my fun, Henry replied, waving his hands towards some people. Okay, We have some criminals to catch. Let's finish this assignment quickly, the man standing in the front replied. He was a middle-aged man, but his whole team respected him. He was a high-ranking person in the World Association and a peak S-rank hunter, contemporary romance. See, even the team leader doesn't want to deal with you, Henry, Clara mocked him as she giggled. So, Maxwell, was it? Another team member asked. Yeah, and don't use mana unless a fight breaks out. We will avoid any civilian casualties we can, the team leader said as they stepped towards the teleportation gate. In this team alone, there were two S-rank hunters like Henry and Clara, with other peak A-rank hunters. And their team leader, who was an S+ rank hunter. Although this was too much firepower for A-rank hunters, it was better to have such teams for low casualties and damage. From their previous teams, they had confirmed that the Mana Traces device was legit, so they could now finally move with a qualified team to apprehend the criminals. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Kai and Dane came out of the washroom, but they were invisible to others right now. Only an S-rank hunter or those with high sensitivity to mana could sense them in their current state. Kai had changed their appearance in case they were caught due to some security measures. It was an extra precaution due to their line of work. In fact, they only did it because of the special security they spotted in the hotel lobby. Dane and Kai were professionals who took some shady missions from Spider. So, it was easy for them to spot a man like Gareth among ordinary bodyguards. Especially Dane, it was because of his extraordinary intuition that Kai followed him, regardless of the crazy things he did. Dane could sense if a person was dangerous or not. Call it intuition or talent, but it helped him climb the ranks in Spider. Let's behave normally, Dane signaled Kai, who nodded. They went to the lift as it opened up. The highest floor was not accessible from the standard lift, but opening the VIP lift would alert others. One hotel staff opened the lift, and Dane and Kai got in. The hotel staff had no idea that two rank hunters were standing behind him, ready to take his life if he noticed them somehow. Room 402, the staff member muttered as the lift stopped, and he stepped out. Dane nodded as they pressed a button in the lift that took them to the 55th floor. Above that were the VIP floors, and Dane knew how to infiltrate the highest floor because he had done a similar mission before. The lift stopped on the 55th floor, but no one was there to notice the empty lift opening. Why is the lift going to the 55th floor? A man noticed the abnormality in the security cam. He pressed a button nearby and spoke. Hey, check the lift and find out why it went to the 55th floor. He notified security to check it before any malfunctions happened that could ruin their image. Let's move fast, Dane dashed with Kai as they saw a man leaving his room. They could see each other, so Dane just needed to signal Kai to follow him. The man was closing his door but didn't notice the two A+ rank hunters who entered his room. Are you sure this is the correct way? Kai asked as they made their way to the balcony area. Trust me, that over there is room 05. I confirmed it during my last mission, Dane pointed above to higher floors. Kai knew that Dane had the habit of doing such useless things during his missions, so he believed him without further questioning. Now, how will we go up there? Kai asked as he looked down from the 55th floor. Falling from this height would make them use their mana to protect themselves. And this much would have been enough to gather the attention of the security. So Kai looked at Dane, who was smiling with a wide grin. It's quite easy, I will throw you up there, and you will pull me up, Dane explained with a grin, but Kai's face darkened as he realized what Dane was making him do. Oh, come on, we can't chicken out now. And even if you fail, there are no high-ranking hunters here. So we can escape easily, Dane tried to persuade Kai, who finally gave up. Okay, do it, Kai said as Dane grabbed him by his stomach. On the count of 3, okay. Dane said as Kai nodded. 3. Dane said as he launched Kai, whose eyes went wide as he could feel the air against his face. He wanted to look down and beat the hell out of Dane, who was looking at him with a grin on his face, but reaching that specific balcony was more important. Usually, that height was something Dane and Kai could reach if they propelled themselves with mana, but that would have made so much noise that their plan would have failed before they even reached the highest floor. Grab. Kai used aura around his fingers to pincer the metal of the building as he reached the balcony and finally landed there. He turned and looked down at Dane, who was waving his hands like an idiot. This idiot, Kai immediately took out a gauntlet-type weapon and pointed it towards Dane. A black wire fired through the gauntlet in a second as Dane caught it with his hands. Right now, they were invisible, so nobody could even notice a man floating towards the highest floor with the help of a rope. Kai's eyes were looking around to see if anybody had noticed them or not. In 6 seconds, Dane also arrived at the balcony of room 05. Nice. Now we just need to search for the money, Dane said, but Kai's face turned into one of shock. What do you mean search? You told me you knew where the money was, Kai whispered. I did, and this is room 05, Dane also whispered, but seeing that Kai's anger was about to burst, he stopped pushing his limits. It's somewhere in the bedroom area, don't worry, I will find it quickly, Dane assured Kai. Dane looked at the balcony window, which was made of a unique material that would not break easily. He covered his hand in the aura and made a thin cut at the edges of the window carefully. Done, Dane whispered as he carefully removed the glass. They knew that the person on the highest floor was some kind of big shot, but they needed this money as soon as possible. Despite the risk involved, they had no choice. In their previous conflicts, they had already killed a team of B-rank hunters sent by the World Association. But now, both were sure that the World Association would soon send their high rankers for them. What they didn't know was that the team coming to hunt for them already knew about their locations due to the chips in their bodies. Dane stepped in, and they saw a man snoring loudly, sleeping on the bed. Shush, Dane pointed at Kai. Should I kill him? Dane asked Kai, as he was not sure whether to kill the man who was sleeping or not. Right now was the best chance to kill the man on the bed, as the guards outside would not notice. Do it. Kai was not ready to take another risk for now. Whoever this person was didn't matter to them, as both could not recognize his face. In their jobs, they had learned about certain people that were not supposed to be harmed in any manner by their organization, and the man sleeping on the bed was definitely not on the list. Tom, who was sleeping peacefully, had no idea that he was about to be killed right now by 2 A+ rank hunters. The guards outside couldn't notice them due to Kai's unique ability. Step. A noise of a step came from behind, and Dane and Kai were about to turn when an overpowering, sinister killing intent enveloped them, stopping them in their tracks. Despite working for years in a job that required killing people and meeting those who killed others, they had never felt such killing intent. Step, step. The noise of the steps grew nearer as both Dane and Kai were too shaken to even turn to see who was the person behind them. The fear clouded their judgment as their hands trembled. With each step they heard, their heart rate went up. I would advise against killing that man. The duo heard the voice of a young man filled with coldness. If you don't want to die, that is. A.N. A little announcement in the author's note for the privileged readers. A couple of minutes ago, before Kai arrived at the balcony area of room 05, Gareth was waiting for Corey and Zack, the 2S rank hunters, to arrive. Then, just as he was about to call his team members again, he saw his men entering the hotel with 2 other men. He instantly recognized the identity of the 2 men, as he had already received information regarding Corey and Zack. Zack, who was looking around the hotel, saw a man walking towards him and could sense that this person was an A- rank hunter. Are you the person who called us? Zack said as he saw Gareth standing in front of him and Corey without a shred of fear. Care to explain why you guys were late? Gareth asked as he tapped and signaled all his team members about the arrival of the S-rank hunters. Oh, come on, just tell us what the task is so we can go back already. Zack looked down at Gareth because he was just an A-rank hunter. His tone was informal, and from his behavior, it was clear that Zack didn't have any respect for Gareth or the other security team present. Wasn't he part of the security team? Corey could recognize Gareth slightly as he had seen him with Emmy, who was quite famous in Abyss Guild. But why would he be here? Everyone knew that Asher and Amelia were in World Academy, and the top Greyhounds escorted the twins. Even Amelia, during her time at Desmar, was surrounded by S-rank hunters. It was only when she came to Soren that the security became lighter. Being an S-rank hunter, Corey could not sense the presence of any other S-rank hunters in the entire building. Another man with similar clothing as Gareth came down as he walked towards Gareth, who was about to say something to Zack but stopped as he saw this man. They are the S-rank hunters, right? He confirmed with Gareth, who nodded back. The men were gathering the attention of the people in the lobby, and Zack didn't like it. Right now, he was waiting for orders from men weaker than him. Young Master has ordered them to meet him as soon as possible, the man told Gareth. Zack wasn't listening actively. Hey, I don't have all day for you. Zack began to say something, but Gareth's words made him stop. Young Master. Corey was the one who raised the question. Don't talk out loud, Gareth reminded Corey with a serious look on his face. What do you mean? Zack was about to say when they sensed a heavy killing intent, shortly followed by the sound of a blast happening on the highest floor. Boom! What? Corey looked up at the ceiling. Go to the highest floor right now. Gareth shouted as he rushed towards the elevator. Zack, we'll go from outside. Corey quickly assessed the situation and rushed out. What? Zack was confused by what was happening, but he still followed Corey. Dash. Ads by Pub Future. Both of them dashed outside the hotel, breaking the entrance in the process. After hearing the word, Young Master, Corey knew that either Lucas or Asher was on the highest floor somehow. The rest of the security was also rushing towards the highest floor, making the other people panic as multiple people flared their mana. But the most significant impact came from Corey, who had dashed outside and glanced at the highest floor. Then, enveloping his legs with mana, he propelled his body toward the highest floor. Zack also followed after him, but both his and Corey's jumps made the glass around the lower floor shatter. Even the civilians outside were panicking as they saw two small craters present in front of the most famous hotel in Maxwell. What happened? The manager came running out as he saw the destruction in the lobby area. We don't know. A blast happened on the highest floor, and then all those people started running around. The man at the reception tried to explain, but the manager's face went pale. This incident could cost them their reputation if the VVIP guest on the highest floor was injured. Corey, who had reached the highest floor, dashed inside one of the rooms as he broke down the walls. In front of an S-rank hunter, such a level of enforced materials was nothing. Zack soon arrived, seeing Corey spread his mana sense and dash toward the left. Bam! With a single punch, a view into a room opened where a man was trembling on the bed with a laptop in his hands. Corey turned around, and his eyes went wide. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Minutes before all this happened, Asher was meditating in his room. He was spreading his mana sense, amplified due to his rank A mana flow skill, and he could sense the presence of every person on this floor. Mana sense was a method that worked like a radar, where one could spot mana-filled beings and other objects around them. Depending on their sensitivity to mana, each person had a different aptitude for mana sense. But the Greville family, due to their special bloodline, had the best mana sense among all the hunters in the world. This was another reason why such a bloodline was coveted by people hunters who worked as assassins and found it nearly impossible to catch such people off guard. Having a body that was highly sensitive to mana made it far easier to perceive attacks and the presence of people around them. Asher took a deep breath when he sensed the presence of a person around room 05. He opened his eyes and stood up. So, I was right, he muttered as he walked towards his balcony. He could sense the presence of two people to his right, where room 05 was situated. Looking to his right, Asher stepped on the railing without looking down. For AD rank hunter, falling from this height would result in heavy injuries even if they protected themselves with mana, but Asher was not worried about this at all. One thing Asher was best at was his fine control over his mana. Even with losing his S-rank mana manipulation bloodline, he still had rank a mana flow, which was a cheaper version of his bloodline ability. Gathering his mana around his feet, Asher looked forward. Making this long jump was easy for him. Mere steps, Asher muttered as he disappeared from his spot. His short burst of mana bent the railings, but he successfully arrived at Tom's balcony, where he saw a broken window. He stepped down from the railing and could sense two people in front of him. Asher was familiar with the two men present in front of him. After all, they were the people who had followed Asher all around the world and helped him destroy many people. One of the top executives for his organization's effort, the One-Handed Reaper, Dane, and the illusionist Kai. And Asher knew the best way to control such people because he had also done it previously. Asher let go of his thoughts as he allowed the madness in his mind to run free, releasing a vicious amount of killing intent. If Asher's intelligence was not so high, such a feat would not have been possible. I would advise against killing that man. The duo heard the voice of a young man filled with coldness, contemporary romance. If you don't want to die, that is, Asher muttered as his eyes looked down at the two humans in front of him. Dane and Kai slowly moved their heads around to see the person behind them, and Kai was the first one. He could see a young man with an insanely attractive face and his cold crimson-red eyes moving towards them. But despite clearly seeing the face, Kai had difficulty gathering his thoughts. A killing intent so intense. Kai could see Asher's eyes that were looking at him, but his gaze was filled with bloodlust and coldness. A normal person would have lost consciousness by now, but Dane and Kai were fine. But their disguise had come off as Kai could not keep up the rhythm of mana he needed to maintain the disguise. Asher Greville. Kai somehow gathered his thoughts as he could recognize the young man in front of him. Kai spread his mana, and he could sense that Asher was only AD rank hunter, which didn't make sense to him as to how a person as young as him could already be at D rank. He is dangerous, Dane spoke as his eyes looked at Asher. Dane had a similar feeling when he had met some of the SS rank hunters, but the feeling right now was even stronger and different. Tom woke up due to the noise around him. Dane and Kai looked at the man who had just woken up and was looking at them. Asher reeled in his killing intent, but the small amount of killing intent was enough to shake Tom, who grabbed his laptop and looked at Asher. But before looking back at Asher, he looked at Dane and Kai again, and then his eyes squinted. "Boss, these are the guys you were looking for," Tom shouted as he pointed at them. "I know," Asher muttered as he flared his mana. Mere steps, Asher muttered as he disappeared, and his sudden move made Kai panic. "Wind blast," Kai shouted. No, Dane was about to stop him, but it was too late. Kai shot a massive wind blast that blasted the entire balcony area of room 05, but Asher was not present in his spot. Asher, who was standing behind them, smirked as special black armor started covering his body. "Bind," Asher muttered as black armor appeared around his body, and chains made of mana came out of it that grabbed Kai and Dane as the spikes on it dug around their body. All of this happened so quickly that neither Dane nor Kai could react. It was as if there was something wrong with their senses. Boom! The room wall was blasted by a single punch as a man entered the room. Right there, Corey sensed the presence of two A+ rank hunters and dashed in that direction. With a single punch, he broke many walls and immediately arrived at the room where he saw Tom, who was holding his laptop and trembling on his bed. Waking up to Asher's killing intent affected him more than Dane and Kai, who felt most of it. But as he was not the target of Asher's killing intent, he didn't suffer much. Corey quickly turned to see two guys screaming in pain on the floor as weird black chains strangled their bodies, and due to the small spikes on the chain, many cuts and wounds appeared on Kai and Dane's bodies. Corey turned his face and saw Asher calmly standing there, looking at him with stoic eyes. "Young master," shouts from the guards came as they arrived in room 05 as well. But Corey was faster than them because he was an S-rank hunter. "What?" Zack arrived just behind Corey, looking at the scenario before him. "Stop," Asher muttered, looking at Zack, who was about to attack Dane and Kai. "Ah." Zack turned to look at Asher. His words stopped Zack and the entire security team that was about to attack Dane and Kai. "Move," Garrett shouted as he had just arrived. His heart was beating out of his chest as the consequences of Asher getting hurt were not something he ever wanted to face. "Ugh!" Dane and Kai grunted on the floor as their blood spread on the floor. Right now, half of Asher's body was covered in black armor from which a chain-like thing came out. Asher looked at the chains and the notification that was floating in front of him. Tiamur's chain armor. S-rank artifact. Description. An invisible armor that will appear at the wearer's wish. In the armor lie chains that were meant to torture their foes. First ability. Negates damage below S rank by 70%. Second ability. Chains made of mana will come to strangle your opponent below S rank. Third ability. Within 30 meters of the wearer's presence, all beings below S rank will have highly dull senses for 1 minute. Pipe. Limitations. A huge amount of mana is needed to use the secondary ability, and if the mana supply is cut, the chains will disappear. Unlike World Academy, where Asher could not use artifacts, this was the outside world where he could use such high-ranking artifacts. This was the S-rank artifact that Alfred Raven had gifted Asher for his last birthday when he became the official heir of the Greville family. This was one of the rarest S-rank artifacts that worked like armor but could still be used by a low-ranking hunter, apart from its secondary ability, which Asher could only maintain for 5 seconds with his current mana pool. "Capture them alive," Asher said as the chains disappeared. Dane and Kai were trying to get up when Corey appeared behind them and used his hands to slam their bodies to the ground. "I apologize, young master. We are ready for any punishments," Garrett bowed, as did the other security guards, as they had failed at their duties. Although it was not entirely their fault, as they could not have anticipated Kai's unique ability, which helped him and Dane infiltrate the highest floor so easily. Only peak S-rank hunters or above were the people who could sense Kai's presence when he used his ability, so unless such a person was present, it would have been impossible to detect them. But none of it mattered now, they had made a severe mistake guarding Asher. "Forget it, but why were these guys late?" Asher asked as he looked at Gareth. Zack wanted to say something but then closed his mouth. Shit, Zack was panicking a lot in his mind. Although Zack had huge pride in front of people like Asher, who was from the elite family that basically made the rules of this world, people like him were nothing. If the Greville family wanted, Zack and people related to him would disappear without a trace. They were busy strolling around, Gareth said while still bowing. Corey looked up, but even he was nervous. One word from Asher and both of them would be kicked out of the Abyss Guild, no matter how rare S-rank hunters were, they were not worth more than the heir of an elite family. I apologize, young master, we didn't know it was you who called us, Corey said as Zack was too stunned to speak. Asher's cold eyes looked at Zack and Corey, making them nervous. But he turned and looked at Gareth. Right now, he had another question in his mind, which was more important than bothering Zack and Corey. Did you use the emergency call? Asher asked, and Gareth flinched. Why yes, I apologize, Gareth replied with a stuttering voice. Not only had Gareth failed to protect Asher, but he also disobeyed his orders that mentioned his stay at Maxwell should remain anonymous. Asher looked at Gareth as if he was an annoyance, and his emotions didn't change for Zack and Corey either. All of them were incompetent, which was why Asher didn't want to use them for his future plans. From the corner of his eyes, Asher looked at Dane, whose eyes were observing everyone in the room. Even in the situation where he and Kai would have been killed normally, Dane was still figuring out a way to escape with a calm mind. Annoying, Asher thought in his mind. Although he had ordered to bring S-rank hunters because he remembered that it was around this time that Dane and Kai tried to rob this hotel, and he wanted to catch them before World Association did. But now Gareth had used the emergency call, which was given to the security guards that followed Asher and Amelia and the twins. Its only function was to inform the high-ranking hunters of the Greyhounds, which was the group of people trained by the Greville family. Due to Gareth using this call, a group of high-ranking hunters was on their way to Maxwell at this moment. And this obviously meant that both Arthur and Sylvie would receive the news about Asher being in Maxwell. What the hell happened when I slept? Tom looked around, but nothing made sense to him. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The team from the World Association entered Maxwell a minute ago. Activate the tracer, their leader said as Clara took out a device. Beep. What's the location? The team leader asked with a smile on his face. The sound in the device meant that the suspects were still in the city. Clara tapped on the device, and a 3D map emerged. In this hotel, she replied. Time to move, the man replied as they flared their mana. Don't go overboard, he said one last time as they dashed towards the direction of a particular hotel. Asterisk 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 asterisk. In an underground facility, which was the base of the most infamous organization in the world, 7 men could be seen sitting in the room, waiting for a certain person to arrive. How many mana gems have you guys gathered? Lucas asked with a stoic look on his face. Seeing his face made most of the people in the room nervous, as his red eyes and black hair matched a certain person. Although that person was their leader, it didn't change the fact that most people here feared him as much as they respected him. We have gathered 7 S-rank mana gems, but that was all I could find at that place, Kai replied, raising his hands. Contemporary romance. As the atmosphere around the room was getting too cold, Nate, who had the second highest authority like Lucas, spoke out. I always wonder how you lost your hand, Dane. Nate asked, and Dane looked at him and spoke. Dane had a grin on his face as he was not bothered to explain his past to Nate. It's a funny story, Dane started explaining his story. When we escaped Spider, both Kai and I were looking for money, he said with a grin on his face. And so we tried to rob the most famous hotel in Maxwell City. It was a great plan, but I didn't know that those spider bastards had planted mana chips in us. Dane's bloodlust started leaking, but nobody minded it. And then we got caught by the World Academy, and in the fight, those bastards managed to cut my left arm when I tried to escape, Dane said. But Kai knew that he had left many things that had happened to them. It was a past that Kai didn't want to remember, but that past was the only reason why both he and Dane were part of this group. What happened after that? A man asked the room. It was, Dane said, but stopped midway through as he looked towards the door. A young man with an extremely attractive face entered the room, holding a pitch-black sword in his hands that was covered with blood. Seeing that man, everyone in the room stood up, and Dane did the same. "Welcome, boss," 5 men said the same thing. "Welcome, brother," Lucas said, and Nate was quiet. "Sit down," Asher said as he removed his coat, which was smudged with blood all over it. Asher's heightened senses allowed him to overhear Dane's tale, but he had no interest in prolonging their idle chatter. Asher's presence was dominating for everyone apart from Lucas, who was not bothered by it. In the Greville estate. So, it moves like this. Lucas was practicing his mana control with a teacher that Arthur himself brought for Lucas. Unlike Livia, who was currently learning directly from Nathan himself. He had seen that Livia had the aptitude for learning his sword art as she could grasp the basics of the great sword a bit better. Oddly, her physical strength was also getting stronger since the moment she had awakened. The previously weak and ill Livia was long gone, and a more cheerful and stronger Livia had taken her place. Usually, Sylvie would have felt a bit lonely as this time Asher was gone with Amelia as well, but the twins' presence kept her busy. "Yeah, focus on controlling the mana, but keep increasing the power behind the spell," his teacher said as he patiently taught Lucas. In Lucas's room, 2 men were standing, watching the teacher and protecting Lucas simultaneously. Unlike Asher, the twins were more likely to be in danger because they were Eva's children. Arthur and Sylvie didn't want to take any chances with the twins' safety, so most of the greyhounds, the hunters trained by the Greville family, were guarding Lucas and Livia at all times. But the ones present with Lucas were S-rank hunters. Even among the greyhounds, there were only 3 SS-rank hunters. The first was the leader of the greyhounds, and the second person was personally guarding the twins. The third one was out for a mission given by the family head, Arthur. The leader of the greyhounds was a person who only moved with Arthur or Nathan or otherwise was responsible for training the new hunters. Right now, the leader of the greyhounds was meeting with the other hunters he had trained himself. "This is the target we have to be careful about." A photo of a woman was on display, and every person present was paying their utmost attention. "We can't rely on the intel alone. Spread your team members in Soren and report any suspicious activity to me," the leader said as he looked around. Beep. Their bracelets were shining red with a loud noise, and they all knew the meaning of this message. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The entire room was dead silent, and all the men were waiting for AD rank hunter to speak. All of them were stronger than Asher, except for Tom, who had caught on to what might have happened but was still confused. What? Zack couldn't understand what Gareth was apologizing for. He didn't know about the emergency call that Asher was talking about. He wanted to get out of this messy situation right now. "Who are you guys?" Corey threatened both Dane and Kai as they grunted due to the pressure Corey was applying to their heads. Asher turned as he wanted to know if Dane and Kai would react in this situation. The Dane and Kai he knew were people that were broken when they met Asher, so they helped him do all that stuff in his previous life. But he wanted to know if their mentality was the same right now or not. "A thief," Dane said with a crazy smile on his face. "Idiot." Kai wanted to punch Dane right now, but he had no control over his body. "Tell me your motives right now." Corey increased his pressure as both Dane and Kai found it hard to breathe. "What a brute," Dane said while his head was cemented to the ground. Corey was losing his patience with both of them, but he had heard Asher's order clearly. Asher had clearly mentioned that he wanted both of them alive. Dane heard that clearly as well. He didn't know why the crazy heir of the Greville family, who was famous all over the internet, was interested in them. But he did know that he didn't want them dead right now for some reason. It was an opportunity for both him and Kai to have a chance to escape if they played their cards correctly. Meanwhile, Kai was thinking exactly the opposite of what Dane was thinking. He didn't know about it earlier, but now he knew that Asher was a D-rank hunter. Nothing made sense to him. How could a young man like Asher intimidate professional killers like them? Contemporary romance. And the fact that even Dane said he was dangerous, and he knew that Dane never said that unless he felt threatened by the other party. Not bad. Asher could see that although not perfect, there were similarities in their behavior. Use mana cuffs on them, I will take them for interrogation, Asher said to Gareth, who nodded immediately. Gareth walked up to Corey and used the S-rank mana cuffs that could be used to cut off the mana of an A-rank hunter completely, but their physical strength would still be present, although it was significantly reduced because their mana got cut. Right now, both of their white shirts were stained with their blood that was still flowing. This is because the chains made the wounds, and they were such cuts that could not be healed in such a short time. But it might get dangerous, Zack suggested, as he wanted to score some points with Asher. I can help you escort them, Zack said with a smile on his face. He thought Asher was still young, so if he acted nicely in front of him, he could make a good impression in front of the future head of the Greville family. Zack wanted to see the reaction on Asher's face, but he got none. He was not sure what the young man in front of him was thinking. Boom! A sound of a blast was heard as three men appeared on the broken balcony that was destroyed by Kai's attack. What do we have here? Henry said while looking around at all the people in the room. He could not see Asher behind the security team trying to capture Dane and Kai, who couldn't resist much right now. We got some tough guys here, Clara said as she looked at Zack and Corey. They could sense that Zack and Corey were also S-rank hunters, just like them. What should we do, team leader? Clara asked as the man in the middle stepped in. We are from the World Association, and I am Caden Burnett, an S+ rank hunter, Caden introduced himself. The criminals we were looking for are present at this location, Caden said as he looked around and saw two men down on the floor with mana cuffs on their wrists. And for vandalizing this hotel, we need all of you to come with us while my team finds the criminals, Caden announced. What do you mean by that? Zack asked, a bit flustered. The World Association was the most powerful association and had the most hunters in the world aligned with them. So he didn't want to mess with someone who looked like a higher up in the World Association. There seems to be a misunderstanding. Zack spoke, but a voice stopped him. Arrest who? Asher came forward, and the security team made way for him. Caden's eyes went wide, and so did Henry and Clarice, as they saw a young man with crimson red eyes in front of them. Red eyes. Clara immediately noticed his features. Asher Greville. Caden was almost sure that the young man before him was Asher Greville. His footage of beating Allen in the representative tournament had gone viral, so most people knew his face now. And for a man like Caden, who met influential people due to his work, it was obvious that he knew about Asher. You can go back now, Asher said, but Caden frowned, and so did Henry and Clara. Even the people in elite families treated S-rank hunters of the World Association with a bit of respect, but they had never seen someone so young use an authoritative tone on them. It seems you are mistaken, Greville, Caden said as the rest of his team of A+ rankers also made their way up top. We are from the World Association, and we have permission to search for the criminals, Caden replied, which made Henry and Clara smile. They were happy that Caden was stepping in front of Asher. And we need to do mana scans of every rank hunter present here, Caden said with a stern look on his face. Corey was about to step in and mediate between Caden, but before he could do so, serious pressure fell on Caden and the rest of the World Association members. Caden's face turned pale as he looked up. The hotel roof started to turn into dust, and the whole ceiling disappeared in a matter of 2 seconds. It was a unique type of magic that Asher, including the security team, was well familiar with. "It seems you have a problem with our young master," a man spoke, but from his presence alone, Caden could feel that he was an SS rank hunter. But what shocked Henry and Clara, even Zack and Corey, was the fact that there were 10 S rank hunters and an SS rank hunter floating in the air. "But I am sure a wise man like you will understand that it was you who had a misunderstanding," a man with black eyes and grey hair looked at Caden. Whoa! Dane could sense the oppression coming from these people, telling him they were strong. "Damn it," Dane said to himself, as he had no way of escaping now that so many high-ranking hunters were present here. "What?" Henry got nervous as he looked around and saw multiple S-rank hunters, but the biggest source of his fear was the SS rank hunter. Caden was the only S+ rank hunter from the World Association, and Henry and Clara were still S rank hunters. Apart from them, their whole team was filled with A+ rank hunters. Coming here, they had thought that this team would have been enough to safely catch 2 rank criminals, but never in their wildest dreams had they imagined the outcome they were facing right now. "Hassan Trevino," Caden muttered as he recognized the old SS rank hunter, who was standing proudly in the air, looking down at him. Hassan Trevino, an SS rank hunter, was known as the right-hand man of Nathaniel von Greville, the sword god himself. But inside the Greville family, he was famous as the leader of the Greyhound group, contemporary romance. Apart from Emmy, who was not part of the Greyhounds, all other hunters, including Gareth, were trained under Hassan's guidance. "I am too old now to remember any rules, but surely you can tell me," Hassan came down, as did the other S-rank hunters. Although they were calm right now, they just needed one order from Hassan to kill every World Association hunter present. Even Caden was not comfortable with fighting 2 S-rank hunters at the same time. And in the presence of an SS rank hunter like Hassan, he was not foolish enough to do so. Henry and Clara gritted their teeth as they felt humiliated by the Greville family since they were not from Somalia. They had come here from Desmar, and none of the elite families that were present there behaved as oppressively as the Greville did. "Sir Hassan, I respect you, but all we need are the 2 criminals that we came for," Caden spoke out, making his team's expression brightened. In all honesty, Caden wanted to leave right now, but doing so would not only damage his reputation, but he would not be able to live with the shame of being called a coward by his own team. He already knew that they would go back empty-handed, so it was a useless attempt to show that he was slightly unwilling to go back right now. "But attacking our precious heir during his hotel stay, that's going a bit too far, right?" Hassan said with a gentle smile on his face. He looked much older than Arthur, as he was closer to Nathan's age, and in his words and manners, he was more patient than other young high-rank hunters like Zack and Corey. He had seen a lot in his life, and one thing he had learned during his lifetime was that the one who lost his calm first was the first one to lose in battle. According to him, if you were not the strongest, you were unqualified to be arrogant in front of others. There were only a few men he respected in this world, and Nathan Greville was one of them. "What do you mean we did?" Henry shouted, but Caden raised his hand a bit to make him stop. "We didn't do it, Sir Hassan," Caden said, but Hassan could see the nervousness in his eyes. Hassan turned to look at Asher to see what he wanted to do. Even though Hassan was an SS rank hunter capable of killing Caden on the spot, he represented the Greville family, and without confirmation from someone from the Greville family, he would not move. Hassan internally smiled as he saw no nervousness in Asher's eyes. It was surprising that only the youngest person present here was the most fearless one. "What does young master want?" Hassan spoke while looking at Asher. Asher's indifferent gaze looked at Hassan. Wrap this up, we will go back to Soran, Asher said. And the emergency call was a mistake from Gareth, Asher said, looking at Hassan. Asher made sure that Hassan would wrap this matter up as fast as possible without wasting any more time. You heard our young master, now it's your choice. Hassan looked at Caden with a calm smile. What choice, you bastard? Caden cursed Hassan in his mind. They had no choice but to fall back, as Caden couldn't take such matters into his own hands. If there was an SS rank hunter from the World Association present here, there was a chance that Hassan would have given him some face, but even then, it likely resulted in a similar manner. Apart from some people in the World Association and other influential names, no one could stand equally before the Greville family. Okay, Caden turned, but he looked back at two people on the ground, Dane and Kai, and remembered their faces. Let's go back, Caden said while gritting his teeth as his whole team backed away to go back to Worms. Seeing the World Association members go back, everyone relaxed as they looked back at Asher, waiting for his order. Take these two to Emmy, Asher said to Tom as he turned back. Ah, me. Tom pointed at himself as every single gaze fell on him. Ah, yes, these two are with us, haha. Tom scratched the back of his head, acting all silly. But his nervous laugh wasn't helping with the acting. Even Dane looked up from the corner of his eyes and looked disappointed in Tom's poor acting skills. But Kai was still cautious as to why the heir of the Greville family wanted them alive. Did he make a deal with Spider? Kai said to himself. But he removed the possibility because they would not have gone to Greville for it even if their organization wanted them dead. There was a reason that Dane and Kai were running around in Somalia, and only the World Association team was on their tail. But organizations like Spider and other criminal organizations needed approval from the elite families from that continent. But it was only in Somalia that, apart from organizations that ran the black market and a few smaller ones, no big organization dared to set their base in Somalia. It was a known fact that all three elite families of Somalia were full of a bunch of crazy people. You help them, take these guys to Emmy, Asher told Gareth. Young master, you need to follow us, Hassan said with a smile. Asher looked at him with no emotions on his face. Whether the emergency call was fake or not, it was called, and it was Hassan's duty to take Asher back home. It was something that Asher would not be able to avoid either way, and it was better to go back and explain the stuff himself. Because if he didn't, that would result in Arthur asking Emmy about all of his activities. And it was something that Asher wanted to avoid for now. But now that he got the perfect people for the jobs, he could finally move and carry out his plans. Sure, Asher replied as all the S-rank hunters stepped into the room. Tom got out of his bed, and when he stepped on the floor, the tiles cracked as the damage inside the room was already significant, and all it needed was a little push to shatter completely. Crack. Shit. Tom immediately removed his feet, and below his feet was a brick that looked like it was made up of gold. Ho. Hassan smiled as he could guess what that was. I guess we can pay for the damage done, Hassan laughed lightly. Dane and Kai cursed their luck as they observed the scene before them. If only their timing had been different, all this money could have been theirs. Asterisk 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 asterisk. At the World Academy. So you wanted to talk about something? Elena asked Eva, who had asked her to come down to the lobby. I heard that Asher Greville was gathering GP, Eva said as she looked at Elena. Elena thought for a while before she finally spoke up. Does he want to enter the auction? Elena asked with a smile on her face. I think so, too, Eva replied with a nod. Whatever, he will not be able to buy anything good anyway, Elena said as she knew that all the better artifacts were in the hands of the senior year students who had a large amount of GP with them. I am not sure, but I got the news that Leonard will give Asher Greville a loan for GP, Eva said, making Elena frown slightly. But why would he? Elena asked. I am not sure, but he wants to keep Asher Greville in his faction, Eva replied, sharing what she had heard from her sources or, more clearly, her older brother's sources. They were correct that Leonard wanted to loan a huge amount of GP to Asher, but it was not in good faith. Sir Caden, we can call the head. Henry was saying something, but the expression on Caden's face made him drop his words. Just go back. We don't need any complications with the Greville family, Caden said, looking forward. Who was that guy, though? Clara didn't know about Hassan, so she was curious about who the old man was. Hassan Trevino, SS rank hunter, one of their team members explained. You are not from Somalia, so you might not know much about him, but he is the right-hand man of Nathaniel Greville, he said as Clara nodded. What about the report then? Henry asked. Just tell them that we got stopped by the heir of the Greville family. Caden was in no mood to hold this discussion any longer. Henry and Clara thought Caden was angry, but in reality, he was just terrified of Hassan's presence. There was some information that only people like Caden, who had worked long enough in high positions, knew. And most new S-rank hunters like Henry and Clara didn't know about them. And he was one of the fortunate ones who knew about Hassan and his powers. Greville had stayed in the High Council for a long time, and they were the only ones among the elite families that nurtured their servants themselves. Most families feared that wasting resources on other people different from their own blood could lead to their own downfall, so they never tried it. However, only the Grevilles were crazy enough to have people like Hassan swear their absolute loyalty toward them. At least it was old man Hassan this time. Caden breathed in relief, as Hassan was known as the calmest one among the 3 SS rank hunters that worked for the special group of hunters they called Greyhounds. If one of the other two had come, there was a chance a few of his team members would have died before they even got a chance to speak. What is happening? A woman shouted with fear. There were similar reactions from other people present in the hotel at that time. They had come here to have a peaceful stay, but out of nowhere, windows were breaking, and there was a heavy pressure in the air due to the mana of the S-rank hunters that were present there. Two of you, go and explain everything to them, Hassan told 2 S-rank hunters to move. They disappeared as they looked for the hotel manager, who was shaking in the lobby area on the ground floor with fear. Hassan turned as he looked at Corey and Zach, who were just standing there. And you two are from the Abyss Guild, right? Hassan asked. Yes, sir, both of them replied instantly, as they knew about Hassan. Corey was slightly nervous about being punished, but Zach was the one who was most anxious here. He knew that if Hassan got to know about how he had talked about the Greyhounds, even his life could have been in danger. He was just praying that they would somehow gloss over this incident. Hassan knew there was something off about this incident, but he couldn't question Asher about it. It was not his job nor his right to question him about what he was doing here. We should move, young master, Hassan said as he looked at Asher. All this commotion had attracted many people around the nearby street, who were recording the whole scenario. Fortunately, Hassan was careful that none of their faces were spotted, which was not good for their public image. Before the hour passed, Asher was back in Soren and was traveling to the Greville estate. Most of the S-rank hunters had returned, as in Soren, Asher didn't need this much security. Tom was taking Dane and Kai, who was being restrained by Gareth and a few of his men. Asher had already given Tom all the instructions for Emmy long before arriving at the hotel, so he didn't need to worry about Dane and Kai escaping. Even if both of them were good enough in front of Emmy, it wouldn't matter. She was one of the best tracker in the world, and even S-rank hunters would not compete with her in that field. Asher's car stopped as he stepped out of it and looked at the large mansion in front of him. Asher went inside, as there was still some time left before Sylvie and Arthur would come back, and he would have to answer a few questions. As he stepped towards his room, the strange tattoo on his back appeared for an instant and disappeared again. "Welcome, young master," many servants greeted Asher as he approached the training grounds. Asher stepped into the training facility when he heard a sound, so he went in that direction. "Fireball," Lucas chanted as a fireball appeared in both of his hands. Asher was looking at the young Lucas, who had gotten slightly taller, practicing his spells. Huff, huff, Lucas breathed heavily as he looked at where his fireballs had hit. "Still off," Lucas muttered to himself. But when he turned to pick up his towel, he saw Asher, and his face brightened up. "Brother," Lucas said as Asher walked closer to him. "Are you on your vacation?" Lucas asked Asher, as Sylvie had already told him about how Asher could leave World Academy. "For a few days. Yeah, and I will return in a few hours," Asher replied. "Okay." Lucas was not disheartened by his reply, as he already knew he would join the World Academy next year. Though it would be in a special class, he could still meet Asher every day. "Keep practicing," Asher turned, but he saw a little girl who was a bit shorter than Lucas come into the training room holding a greatsword in her hand. The greatsword was specially made for her, considering her size, so it was not too big for her. "Oh, big brother is here," Livia came in, as it was her time to practice as well. She was surprised that Asher was present there. Asher looked at Livia, but his gaze was still indifferent. "Are you alone?" she asked. "Yeah, Amelia will not come here till the next break," Asher replied, which made Livia a bit sad. "Lucas, are you still free for a spa?" Livia asked her brother. "Ah, yeah," Lucas replied as he waved at Asher. Asher turned as he was leaving the ground floor to train his mana to the second floor, but he sensed a familiar aura and stopped. They arrived early. Asher stopped as he sensed that Arthur and Sylvie were back at the entrance of the mansion. So it was a wrong call, according to him. Arthur asked Hassan, who nodded back. "What do you want to do, Sylvie?" Arthur asked. "Let's listen to his side of the story first," Sylvie replied, and Arthur nodded back at her. They entered the living room and were about to call a servant to inform Asher, but they stopped as they saw Asher arriving at the living room himself. "You have grown stronger." Arthur was surprised that Asher had hit D rank already. "Yeah," Asher replied as he sat opposite Arthur and Sylvie. "Congratulations on becoming rank 1, Sylvie said with a smile on her face. "Contemporary romance." "Thanks," Asher replied with a calm face. "So, I assume you know why we called you here?" Arthur asked. "For the emergency call, right?" Asher replied, and Arthur nodded. They first wanted to hear his side of the story before coming to a decision themselves. "It was just a short trip to the black market in Maxwell," Asher replied truthfully, as he knew that hiding things now would not do him any good. "How does that relate to you using that armor on two unknown people?" Arthur asked as he had already heard everything from Hassan. Asher explained the story, but he mixed it a little. Arthur and Sylvie listened to him for a full 10 minutes as Asher walked the story completely. "So those two were hired mercenaries?" Arthur asked. "Yeah, and I was testing the artifact on them," Asher replied. "And all this happened because of the two S-rank hunters that came from our guild?" Sylvie asked, and Asher nodded at her. Sylvie was still a bit sad about her previous quarrel with Asher, which involved Alyssa, so she didn't want to argue further. "Okay, but make sure you always take the guards with you. I expect you know the consequences of such actions," Arthur said, but both of them knew that Asher was smart enough not to do things like this. "I will," Asher replied, but he didn't mean what he said. "Okay, are you staying today?" Sylvie asked. "I will go back as I have some work related to my new company," Asher replied as he got up. The twins would have loved a dinner together, Sylvie said, but Asher shook his head. Okay, you can go, Arthur said as Asher got ready to leave the mansion in his car. After 2 minutes, you think he told the truth? Arthur asked. I think so. From Hassan's explanation, everything aligned with what he said, Sylvie replied. Well, he will be returning to the World Academy, so we don't need to worry about such things for now, she said. As the incident happened in Somalia, they were not too worried about it. Asher's eyes went dull as he entered his car. He acted as normal as he could before Sylvie and Arthur because he didn't want them to get involved in his activities. Almost everything was set, and Asher could finally make his moves. Level up, huh? Asher thought in his mind.